How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Ruddle Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, and we're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Tuesday, January 29th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. What up, Jeremy? How you doing out there, man?
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much, man. 7-game slate. Had a really, really good night last night. I took
down. Whoa. I'm not letting you off that easy, bro. You had a good night last night. The site had a good night last night. You got to mention that. Anytime there's a tournament takedown, especially like a 3-entry like you took down last night, takes a certain amount of skill with your research. So congratulations, man. It's a nice takedown in the win column. Want to make sure we mention that too.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, as Jeremy said, FanDuel and DraftKings cash last night, all entries for members to the website. And then, yeah, man, they took a quick little takedown, little $1,500. Hey, $1,500, $1,500, bro. Off a $15 entry, that's 100 times return on investment. Hey, I can't complain. Definitely very happy with that. It kind of motivates you a little bit. I've been digging a little bit harder into today's slate, trying to get back-to-back takedowns. So, I'm ready to jump in this slate. Real quick, before we do jump into this slate, though, if you guys don't mind, please take that quick second for me. Click that like button down below. Hey, man, that really helps me out, and I really appreciate you guys doing that for me. And, yeah, man, so let's just jump right into it, bro. First game we're going to go with is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder going into Orlando to face the Magic. This game has a 222.5 over/under, and OKC's favored by 4.5 in this one.
Hey, bro, one thing real quick that I wanna just point out, because we talk about it a lot, and it worked for you very well last night, and that is, last night was a pretty chalky night, right? You had Rozier and you had Trey Burke at point guard, and you had some other really, really chalky spots. It was a really chalky slate, to be honest with you. And traditionally, those are really difficult to win a tournament on. But you took a chance with Beverly, who was $100 more than Burke and Rozier. And that's, if you take a look at it for the slate, I believe in most tournaments, Beverly was about 28 to 29% owned. But he was lower owned than Burke, and he was lower owned than Rozier. And that's all it takes to be different. To take a tournament down is that one type of play. I mean, when you're talking about a day where in a lot of tournaments you had Tobias Harris and Kevin Durant in the 90% own range, right. It was very hard to differentiate yourself, but there were definitely spots. We talk about making a lineup with one guy when guys are very similar in price, and then making a second lineup. You take a look at your line last night with Beverly. You avoid Burke and fade Burke and go with Beverly, and that's a one-player difference that – right. There's 30-point difference right there.
So actually, I wanna just because I actually took a page out of your book. You're right up in the alley. I had a couple members hit me up this morning like, hey, I seen you take down, that wasn't the cash line, etc. Well, cash line still hit. GPPs, quadruple ups, cash games, and just to make it very clear, the line that I took down yesterday. This is something that you always say. The line that I used for the takedown yesterday was the exact same cash line sent out to members. The only difference was instead of Burke and Klay Thompson, it was Beverly and Marcus Smart. Everything else was the absolute exact same. So that's an absolute page out of your book, like you always say.
Didn't you have Lou Williams in that line though? I thought you had Lou Williams instead of Thompson.
No, yeah, but I had Lou Williams in our cash line as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I'm saying it was literally the exact same line. The difference was just flopping those combinations.
And that's a thing that I'm so big on, because especially when you have guys that are similar in price, like within a couple $100, make the same lineup, just swap, make that your only swap. Because if one guy goes for 15 and one guy goes for 40, you got a 35-point difference in your score. That's huge.
Well, look at my case. So Beverly, exact same line, but Beverly plus 30 from Burke, right? And then you had Marcus Smart, who was plus 28 from Klay Thompson. So that was a 60-point difference in just swapping two players.
Exactly.
So, hey, let's jump into this slate now, man. We're going to start with the OKC Thunder in Orlando. So go ahead and get us started with the Thunder side of things, man.
So to me, there's three guys that are in play here and possibly four. Steven Adams with a game time decision rolled his ankle on Sunday, I believe it was, and he's dealing with, residual effects, swelling, soreness, etc. So we'll look to see what happens with that. The good news is it's the first game right at lock, so we should know definitely before lock what they're going to do with Adams, probably within 30 to 45 minutes before lock. So have a plan either way, because Nerlens Noel will become a really good drop spot upside play. And I like playing Noel against the Eastern Conference teams because he has familiarity going against these players when his time in Philadelphia, etc.
Really, really quick. I don't want to interrupt you. Just a note on Adams. So Adams, he is a game time decision with his ankle injury. He actually originally tweaked his ankle about 2 weeks ago, and
Actually, it was about a month ago. That was the 2 weeks ago was the second tweak. He's played through it.
So I mean, it may be time that for them just to give him a couple games off and just kind of heal it. Because, obviously, he keeps retweaking the same exact ankle, and they got to think about the longevity. They're going to be a team in the playoffs. They're going to need Steven Adams in the long run. So I just wanted to mention that.
Right. So my point would be that Noel becomes a really nice drop spot upside play that'll get starters minutes without really any other big guys besides like a Patrick Peterson and those guys. So the way that they would play would definitely, I think, if Adams is out, even though they play really well in Westbrook and George put up gaudy numbers with Adams, I think that they would play at a much faster pace in this game. I just think that's Noel's able to run the floor a lot better. But Terrence Ferguson comes up in all of my models this morning as a really good play at 4.5 as your shooting guard number 2. Very good matchup DVP-wise, very good matchup against just straight defensively. And then Paul George and Russell Westbrook, they also are at the top of my models as well this morning. So those are really the four guys. I don't mind Jeremy Grant in tournaments, as a contrarian play because I don't see ownership gravitating towards him today with the other spots that are open. But I do like Russell Westbrook in cash. I think it's really hard to get away from him because there's so much value today already. 11.9, very fair. Paul George, 11.1 seems a little bit expensive. Paul George, we've seen him hit value we've seen him hit value that would be value at this price tag, but 11.1's a lot to play where I don't feel like small forward is a place you've got to pay up for with guys like Solomon Hill, Michael Beasley, etc. on the slate in really good spots.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely feel you. On the Magic side of things, I'm going to start right with it. We talked about Steven Adams. If Steven Adams is out, I like Vucevic even more. I feel like without Steven Adams, the Thunder doesn't really have anybody that can guard Vucevic. If Adams is in, I definitely still think that Vucevic is in play, but I would like him a lot more if Adams is ruled out. Adams is a big body for sure. Aaron Gordon, 6.8 is going to be an up-tempo game, back and forth, high implied total. I definitely think this is a spot Aaron Gordon, strictly GPP for me. Aaron Gordon is always a GPP play in my book, but he does have some upside, man, but he also tends to kind of just get lost once in a while. Definitely think Aaron Gordon is in play. And then you got to look at Fournier, 5,900, very fair price tag. The Thunder have been struggling guarding the shooting guard position. You could look up the numbers. That's something that I've seen earlier today. Fournier, he's just like Aaron Gordon. I mean, they're up and down, but they have the upside. He has 40 fantasy point upside on this price tag, but he also has – like you've seen it, against Brooklyn and against Washington, 12.9, 4.7. Those are horrible games. Those are going to crush your lineups if he has those kind of games. But before that, against Atlanta, he had 40 fantasy points. So I think that Aaron Gordon and Fournier are both in play, but they're strictly GPPs. Vooch is probably my favorite play, on the Magic side of things, especially if Adams is out. Outside of that, I mean, you could take a look at a guy like Terrence Ross, in GPPs as well. But the price tag isn't to give me price tag anymore. 5,600, the price tag, it's a fair price tag for what he's been doing. So that's really where I'm at with Atlanta. I think it's just really Vooch, Aaron Gordon, Fournier, all strictly GPP.
Moving on.
Next game we're going to go with it is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks going into Detroit to face the Pistons. This game has a 216.5 over under, and Milwaukee's favored by 7.5 in this one.
So I want to point out a couple of things. This is a good spot to do it. Guys to pay up for tonight. There's 9, right? You start with Westbrook and you kind of go down to Drummond, and that's the pay up spots. When I talk about pay up, I'm talking about guys 9,000 and above. So guys 9,000 and above, you got really 9 guys in play. Is Giannis one of them? In this spot, look, it's a small forward spot. It's kind of the same deal as Paul George. If you're going to pick one of those 2 guys, I've got to lean towards Giannis in this spot, and for one reason. Let's look at their bench, okay? You look at their bench, and they don't have one guy that's above $4,000 that's on their bench. The majority of their minutes and their production is coming from their starting 5. So that bodes well for Giannis. At least you're paying up for a guy that the minutes are insane, and we know his production is always going to be somewhat on par with with his price tag for value. So, I just don't think today's a day to pay up at small forward. There's a lot of good plays at small forward and a lot of ways to build. You could be contrarian, today and look for a Paul George or Giannis. To me, I'm not really there. And with that said, I'm not really looking to plug in a lot of Milwaukee players as a whole. Malcolm Brogdon is probable. If he was out, I wouldn't have any problem looking at a Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe, but he's probable at this point. Brook Lopez, look, the guy's a great GPP player, and I don't mind him on any given night because on any given night, he can get hot from the three-point line. He can get you a couple of assists, and he could put up 35 fantasy points at 5.7. So in tournaments, limited exposure, Brook Lopez, no problem with. But Milwaukee as a whole, I'm pretty much fading them as a whole.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand. We on the Pistons side of things, I mean, we got to start with their 2 main guys, Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin. We like big guys going against Brook Lopez. I mean, that's something that we've been doing all year. Brook Lopez is, he's not a traditional big guy that's going to be out there and bang. He's a guy that likes to hang out around the 3-point line, take 3-pointers. Could be some extra rebounds for Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin. I mean, I'm going to be honest, man, and I'm not trying to take the easy way out. I mean, these guys, I definitely think you look at both of them in GPP, but I mean, they just don't really interest me too much. I mean, there's other guys that I much rather spend 9,000, 10,000 for. Both of them probably going to be very low owned. So, I mean, definitely some, like I said, some solid GPP plays. One guy that I do like, I mean, Reggie Jackson is going to play about 30 minutes, 5,000. I mean, the price tag is very good on him. And, I mean, he's got you 28, 26 fantasy points and played at least 30 and 35 minutes the past 2. On a 5,000 price tag, we need 25 for value. So I definitely think that he can get us at 25. I just don't know how much upside, Reggie Jackson really, really has. He hasn't really been showing too much upside on the season. I mean, I guess he could get you 35 fantasy points, but that's really it. So, I mean, like I said, on the Pistons side of things, Andre Drummond, Griffin, Jackson, and I don't know where else to look, on the Pistons.
Yeah, move on.
Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Washington Wizards going into Cleveland to face the Cavaliers. This game has a 218.5 over under, and Washington's favored by 7.5 in this one.
The price tag on Satoransky I don't like, but his production I do like. I think he's fine in tournaments. I think he's a really good tournament play here. I think it's a guy you could possibly get lower owned tonight. I just don't see a lot of people paying 6,700. You're going to look and see, Satoransky 6,700, or not even have Satoransky on their radar. He shows up really high in my models today. I just don't like the price tag, so I will have exposure to him in tournaments. Brad Beal, I'm not going 10-1 because I like other guys, and I'll talk about them as we get to it, but I like other guys at better prices who are better in my models today. The other guy is Thomas Bryant and then Jeff Green. Those are the 3 guys I'm going to look to get exposure to in tournaments. I think Trevor Ariza is safe in all formats today. He's playing damn near 40 minutes a game. This is a good matchup for him, both from a DVP standpoint and also from just a straight versus defense standpoint. They give up points to the small forward. Jeff Green is playing power forward. Now he's listed as power forward. I think it's a really good play at 4,800. But again, power forward has some really good plays in it. You talk about Rashawn Holmes. You talk about Aldridge. Other guys that are in really good spots there as well. So, tournaments, I'm fine with really 4 of their 5 starters, but miss me with Bradley Beal at 10-1.
Yeah, for sure. And on the Cleveland side of things, I mean, It's man, same cast of characters pretty much. Larry
Hey,
Nance.
bro, I don't want to interrupt you here, bro, but honestly, my opinion, Alec Burks is the one guy you could play, and then you got to. I think you just got to move on. I mean, you want to play Larry Nance in tournaments, great,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm with you. Larry Nance in tournaments, Alec Burks. I Larry and Jeremy will vouch for me on this one. I mean, pretty much since the very first day he was traded to Cleveland, and we knew he was going to get some minutes. I've been playing this guy, and he gives us some upside. He has 40 fantasy point upside. I really like Alec Burks. The only other guy I was going to mention, I mean, I don't know how you skip Zizik. Zizik, I understand we got some other good sinners, but he's going to be a low-owned GPP player. And the guy's just been playing very, very well. He's got you at least, well, outside of one game, he's got you pretty much 30 fantasy points in 7, 8 consecutive games. I like Zizik a lot. He's going to be, like I said, he's going to be low-owned. A lot of people are going to be looking elsewhere. I just like his upside. The price has caught up, but I mean, that's really it for me. Like you said it. Alec Burks, I like Zizik as well in tournaments, and you just kind of move on for Cleveland. Sexton, I mean, 4,500 is a decent price tag, but the guy just hasn't really been showing us no upside.
I would say in this game, both centers are playable in tournaments. I think they're both exactly the same, meaning if you look at Thomas Bryant, he's pretty much giving you between 25. One game he got you 30. So he's pretty much a 5X type player. And then Zizic has done about the same for his price tag. He's kind of been a 5X player. So the difference to me in these two guys in tournaments would be the availability of Jan Mahamini. If Mahamini is going to be out, then I think Zizic in those couple extra minutes he'll get on the floor without another big where Thomas Bryant may come off. Zizic may have the upper hand there on the two of them. But I think both of them are in play in tournaments as low-owned options that I don't think anybody will really be on.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Moving on to the next game is going to be the Chicago Bulls going into Brooklyn to face the Nets. This game has a 220 over-under, and Brooklyn's favored by 7 in this one.
The thing you have to like about Chicago here is, one, it's against Brooklyn, and Brooklyn's extremely competitive and doesn't play too much defense, right? I mean, they're really weak defensively on the perimeter, and they're really, really weak defensively inside. There's a lot of times they struggle with second chance points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because – I mean, you watch the Boston game and Jared Allen just like he wasn't on the floor for a lot of that game against Al Horford. So we know Al Horford's not the best center in the league. He's more of a power forward, like hybrid type. So having said that, you look at Robin Lopez, if the guy's going to get minutes in my model, like my starters model, this guy is really high, Robin Lopez is, but it's just a matter of minutes with this guy. The best play for me on the Chicago side things today is Wayne Selden at 3.8. This is a great, great, great value play. He comes up in all my models, DVP, defense, etc. Outside of that, then you're taking a look at, mid-tier plays, and do you want to play one of these guys over a Devin Booker, a D'Angelo Russell, who I think is in a phenomenal spot today? Do you want to play, Dunn over them, or do you want to play, Dunn over, a Rondo because it's kind of a similar spot, or do you want to play Levine over a Russell or Booker? So I think there's enough value on the slate to get a good value shooting guard and a pay-up spot. I also think there's enough room on the slate to get both a Russell and a Booker. So for me, I'm looking at Wayne Selden pretty much exclusively. Bobby Portis is a pivot play in tournaments. The minutes are there. Don't mind him at all as a pivot off some of these other guys who are going to be popular, like I mentioned, Rashawn Holmes and Marcus Aldridge, Aaron Gordon, etc.
Yeah, man. On the net side of things, I'm looking at pretty much 3 guys, and I'm kind of moving on. I'll throw in a 4th guy. I think Jared Allen, you could look at strictly GPP. We have been playing centers against the Bulls all year. It's a good spot for him. But like you said, the minutes are up and down. So strictly GPP with Jared Allen. The guys I'm really looking at, obviously, pretty much look at the best player. Starts with D'Angelo Russell. The guy's just been playing absolutely out of his mind. Had another good game yesterday against Boston. I like D'Angelo Russell. The price tag is up, though, on the second end of a back-to-back. That's kind of what scares me. But the Bulls aren't a very good team, and the Nets are favored. So I definitely think D'Angelo Russell's in a really good spot to crush here. Hollis Jefferson got the start yesterday. 4,400 is a very, very good price tag for him if he's going to get another start today. 32 fantasy points. If he's going to get me even anywhere close to 30 fantasy points at a 4.4 price tag, definitely got to like him. So I definitely think he's in play as well. And then lastly, Shabazz Napier. His price tag is definitely getting up. 5,000. 5,100. You need 25 for value. But the guy's the main beneficiary with Dinwiddie out. You can see the past 2 games he's played 28 and 26 minutes, and he's shooting the ball well, 18 to 20 actual scoring points. He plays a little defense. I think the Napier is in play. The price tag is catching up, but I still think it's a fair price tag. Outside of that, I really don't like anybody else on Brooklyn. So it's just really Jarrett Allen, 100% GPP, D'Angelo Russell, Hollis Jefferson, a little bit of Napier.
Yeah.
Next game we're moving to
Napier's playing a lot of minutes, man. He's playing, right. and I noticed the last couple of games he's coming in for D'Angelo Russell at like the 8-minute mark, and then they bring Russell back, and the two of them play together for like the final 4 minutes of the first quarter, which is, they're playing together. They're playing Russell at both point and the off guard, and
the usage is up a lot.
The usage is up a lot.
All right, moving on to the next game is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans going into Houston to face the Rockets. This game has a 234.5 over-under, which is by far the highest on the slate. And Houston's favored by 11.5 in this one.
First things first, man. I mean, you got a lot of guys out here again. We just saw this exact same situation play out the other night and Darius Miller was a really good play, and he got his 30 fantasy points. So look, Solomon Hill to me is the guy that projects the best in this spot. Take a look at his game log. His last couple of games he's had that he started, he's played big minutes. He's put up decent fantasy value, at least 5.5x in both of them. I like Solomon Hill a lot tonight at the small forward position, but there again, like I'm mentioning, small forward seems to be a place tonight to pay down at because there's so many options with Darius Miller, Solomon Hill, Michael Beasley, etc. That are guys in good spots. I'm not going to play Elfrid Payton. I don't care if Chris Paul plays 18 minutes. Chris Paul, say what you want. When the guy is on the court, he can defend. Elfrid Payton has never had a good game or good experiences against Chris Paul. Okafor, I'm okay with in tournaments. I think it's a really contrarian move to play Okafor tonight at 7.2, but the production's there. They don't have a center. It'll be Okafor really against a Kenneth Faried, a PJ Tucker, James Ennis, etc. Nene, I guess, if Nene is going to be available, but the minutes with Nene we've talked about are so limited. Drew Holiday is the guy that I really like. I mean, this seems like a spot where Drew Holiday can really get hot, and if New Orleans is going to keep this game close and able to play with them, Drew Holiday will have to score the basketball. He's the best pure basketball player they have that's available. If you want to take a look again at Diallo, what a great play at 3.7 at power forward.
Thank you for not leaving my boy out, dude. I was debating if you were going to leave him out or not, bro.
No, there's no look, dude. Diallo at 3.7, and here's my point, right?
Real quick. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, bro. Last time I was telling you, and you're like, I don't know. But then we ended up getting on board together, made the decision, and it worked out for us for sure.
No, but my hesitation with Diallo is that you have to let the slate. Look, my thing with building lineups is this: you can't let your want dictate your build. You have to let the opportunity dictate how you build, and you have to take a look at who's available and are they in the best spot. So when right. Diallo was late breaking news with Randall being ruled out that day, and it was a matter of like, okay, wait, is he going to be the best play? Is he not? So look, I don't mind him, and today's a day where I think the slate dictates at least one bargain basement play at power forward and possibly 2 at small forward. So I don't mind Diallo in tournaments. I think it's a really good move as a drop spot play, especially if you're going to go with a more balanced lineup. So they've got 4 guys really that are out with Davis, Mirotic, Randall, and more. Darius Miller, you can take a look at him. But to be honest with you, I'm going to let you cover Houston. And the best play in this game, in my opinion, is Eric Gordon at 5.5. I think this guy's a steal today for the matchup.
Yeah, man. I definitely like Eric Gordon, 5.5. We could start there. Good value play. Even though Chris Paul is out, he's still going to get the start at small forward.
You mean Chris Paul is back?
I'm sorry. Chris Paul is back. But usually before it was when Chris Paul was back, Aaron Gordon got his minutes clipped. But now they're playing small ball. Gordon's going to be in the lineup with Paul and Harden. So 5.5, great value, great call. I like that a lot. Definitely think that Aaron Gordon, honestly, is probably the best play, in my opinion, on the Rockets. 7,500 for Chris Paul. He's on the minutes limit. No thank you with that. Kenneth Faried, the guy that we've been playing, his price tag jumped quick. I mean, he's a very good player. The production is there, but do I want to play 7.4 for Kenneth Faried? No, thank you. And then you got James Harden, man. Hey, I understand the last game when Chris Paul came back, he still did his thing, still got us 65 fantasy points. I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, we've seen it, the past 2 years when Chris Paul and James Harden are on the floor together. They're both, healthy and playing. Chris Paul takes away a lot of usage from James Harden. And some people are going to be like, well, last game he did it. It's a one-game sample size. I'm thinking about the past 2 years. Chris Paul does take away from James Harden, and at almost a 14,000 price tag. I mean, it's not a give me price tag. You need almost 70 just for him to hit value. So that's really the scary thing for me, man. I mean, he's definitely in play. Don't get me wrong. I do like James Harden on this slate. I just don't know if he's a guy that you absolutely have to have in your lineup with Chris Paul back. Outside of that, I mean, I'm not really interested in anybody else. For the Rockets, it's really just, Eric Gordon, James Harden, and GPPs. Fareed's a little bit, priced a little bit high. You can throw him in some GPPs as well. And then, I mean, PJ Tucker, he's not a guy that I really play. So that's really it for me on the Rocket side of things.
And let me just say this. When you look at Houston as they're constructed right now, James Harden's always listed as a shooting guard. He's never listed as a point guard. But James Harden, if you look at what he does, he's not a shooting guard. He's going to start a shooting guard, but he's not a shooting guard because all of his points, they come off him handling the basketball. He's an isolation player. So you look at the streak he's been on, like something like 340 straight points came off of unassisted baskets. So when Chris Paul's on the floor with him, James Harden is not running the floor and coming off picks and trying to get spot-up jump shots. He's not playing pick-and-roll basketball. James Harden is an isolation player, and when Chris Paul comes in, he takes a significant amount of usage hit. So you're right, 13.9 to play for a guy who's not coming off dribble handoffs. He's not coming off screens. He's not playing pick-and-roll basketball. He's an isolation player. It's a hard sell at 14,000.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Like, I think some people are going to be like, well, he still did it last game. I understand. James Harden's still going to have those games with Chris Paul there. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to happen a lot less than it's been happening with Chris Paul back. Moving on, this game actually going to be a pretty good game. Believe it or not, we got Phoenix Suns going into San Antonio to face the Spurs. This game has a 226 implied total, and San Antonio is favored by 13 in this one.
Right off the bat, DeAndre Ayton lists as a game time decision, but he's closer to doubtful than he is playing.
He's actually already been ruled out.
Did they rule him out?
Yep.
So it must have been ruled out while we were doing this because I haven't been paying attention to this.
And they already said Holmes is going to start.
So that's the big news. I mean, you've got a guy at 5,000 who will start at center with, really against LaMarcus Aldridge here. Rashawn Holmes is a really good basketball player as far as maybe not showing up a fantasy value all the time, but as far as a good putback player, second chance points, a good rebounder, can block a ton of shots. He's very long. I like Rashawn Holmes at 5,000. You get another center in your lineup on FanDuel by playing him as your power forward too, if you choose to do that. So I like him a lot. And then Devin Booker, man, at 8.1, Devin Booker there's going to be a time where he's going to go off, and you want to keep buying on Devin Booker because just stick with Booker is what I'm saying. Don't fall off Booker and then he's going to go for 60 and you're going to say, damn, I knew he was a good play. Keep buying Booker at 8.1. I like him a lot in this spot without DeMar DeRozan on the floor. Rudy Gay is a good defender. Aldridge is a good defender, but he's going really against the likes of Derek White, Bryn Forbes, Patty Mills, Bellinelli, and those guys. So I like this for a high usage spot for him. A real big with Holmes that can move up and down the floor with him. Bridges is playing a lot of minutes. The price tag is fair. The guy can do ancillary things like rebound and block shots, but he just doesn't score enough points. And then you have to mention Oubre at 6.3. He's, there's no TJ Warren in this game. And I understand he's not starting, but they bring him in early in the first quarter. He gets in the rotation pretty quick, and plays, 30 minutes a game. So I like Oubre. I think Okobo, if you want to, punt or you want to take a complete contrarian outlook on point guard, I'm okay with him in tournaments as well. But Rashawn Holmes and Devin Booker is where it's at.
Yeah, man. On the Spurs side of things, with Aldridge out, with DeMar DeRozan already ruled out, I pretty much like the whole starting five of the Spurs. I mean, Rudy Gay, 6,000. He's a fair price tag. We know he has 40 fantasy point upside in an up-tempo game against the Suns. Forbes, 4,400. White, 5,700. I definitely think they're all in play. Even Pau Gasol, bro. I mean, 3,500 minimum price. I definitely think we can use him as a drop spot play today. You may call me crazy, but I mean, against New Orleans, it's all about minutes with Gasol. When he gets minutes, he produces. You see 2 games ago against New Orleans, he played 22 minutes and he got us 31 fantasy points. 31 fantasy points on a 3,500 price tag. That's 9x. That's great return. On your investment with on Gasol at a 3,500 price tag. It's just all about minutes with him. But he's big, and there's nobody really on the Suns that could guard Gasol. So I'm not trying to pump up Gasol. I just think at a bare minimum price tag, if he's going to play 20 minutes, I definitely think he can crush this price tag. But I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The main guy we want to look at on the Spurs with no DeRozan is going to be Aldridge. I mean, the guy's been playing absolutely out of his mind. And for the past 5 games, he's got you at least 42 fantasy points, so giving you a solid floor. I like Aldridge a lot in this spot. I definitely think this is a solid spot. He can have a really good game. One thing I do want to mention is he's already faced some earlier this year, and he hasn't had no monster games. But DeRozan was playing in those games. I just think this is a spot I really like Aldridge. There's a lot of value on the board, and we're gonna have to pay up in a couple spots. And 8.8 for Aldridge against the Suns. I think is a good spot, at home. It's a game that I expect them to win. So I definitely think that Aldridge is the main guy, but you can look at all the other starters on the Spurs. Then you could even throw in a guy like Patty Mills at 4.2. But that's really where I'm at with the Spurs.
Let's get to it.
Cool. Now we got the main event of the night. This is where a lot of fantasy goodness is going to be. You got the Philadelphia 76ers going into LA to face the Lakers. This game has a 231.5 over under. Philadelphia is favored by 7.5. And real quick, before we get into this game, I don't want to go on a rant or anything. I just want a simple yes or no question from you, bro. Yes or no question. Do the Lakers end up trading and getting Anthony Davis?
I don't think it's about the Lakers, bro. It's going to be about the Pelicans.
Wanting to get in enough to give them up?
I think it's going to be about what the Pelicans want because, I think it's been well publicized in the last day or so that Boston can't get into this mix until Kyrie Irving's contract expires on July 1st.
Right.
So it's going to be about who's got the pieces to send that they want and what the Lakers – the only thing that's going to be with the Lakers is who do they want to give up, right? I mean, who do they want to give up? And to me, I would say you can take every single person besides Kyle Kuzma and LeBron James.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle Kuzma is the one guy that I really want, bro. Like, I really want to keep Kuzma. Outside that, I'll say bye-bye to everybody else for sure. Yeah, man, go ahead and get us started with the Philadelphia 76ers side of things.
So, to me, the top pay-up spot tonight on the board is Joel Embiid, 11.6. If you want to take a look at what he did last year against the Lakers in 2 games, at L.A., he had 86 fantasy points, I believe, and then he had 58 when they played again in Philadelphia. This guy, if you watch Joel Embiid and you watch his games, he gets up when guys can't defend him. Once he knows there's nobody that can stop him, the guy will just start yelling at everybody on the floor, you can't guard me, you can't guard me. This is going to be the exact same spot. I'm not saying he's going to put up 86 fantasy points tonight, but I'm definitely telling you there's a possibility he could put up 86 fantasy points tonight because there is not anybody that can guard Joel Embiid. Zubac has played really well, but Zubac cannot guard Joel Embiid. He just can't. They don't have the same skill set. Outside of that, I'm really looking at Joel Embiid. I don't mind Corey Brewer at 4.5. I think he's a really good play here as well. I also like Wilson Chandler at 4.1. I'm not going to get on the Jimmy Butler train. Jimmy Butler projects really high in my models, but it's about usage. Look, they can't guard Joel Embiid. They can't. They don't have anybody that's going to guard Joel Embiid. I mean, you got McGee, Tyson Chandler if he's going to play, and Zubac. And I just don't see how they can guard Joel Embiid. I think a lot of points can be scored in this game. I think it'll be a really entertaining game, and I think the game's on TNT. It's exactly what happened when they played last time in LA. It was on TNT, and it was the Joel Embiid show. I'm looking for the exact same repeat here.
Yeah, so I mean, on the Lakers side of things, Oh man, I'm not trying to take the cop out, but hey man, I like all five starters for the Lakers. That's really where I'm at. You got Michael Beasley, 4,200. The guy has 30 fantasy point upside. 35 fantasy point upside. He's gonna get the start today. If he's gonna play, if you're gonna tell me Michael Beasley's gonna play close to 30 minutes. The guy's an absolute lock at 4,200. We know what the guy could do. We seen it last year with the Knicks. Rajon Rondo still under 7,000. The guy can have a triple double any night. I think he's still a little bit underpriced. Loving Rondo as well. And then you got Zubac. You talked about it. I mean, it's a tough matchup against Joel Embiid. Don't get me wrong, but Zubac has been playing very, very well. He's on a mission right now, showing the Lakers that he deserves to be in that starting lineup and to be playing minutes. And I like Zubac coming off a really good game against Phoenix. And this just kind of bodes, the fact that he had a monster game against Phoenix just kind of bodes very well for when I was talking about Pau Gasol and Aldridge in just the last game. Like Zubac, I think he's a solid play. I don't know if he's cash game. He's kind of like cash game borderline for me. Definitely think Rondo's a cash game play. Beasley's a cash game play. Brandon Ingram, 6,900. Right now, I mean, he's pretty much their best player outside of, Rondo with no LeBron on the floor, with no Kuzma on the floor. The guy's been playing very well, has some upside. He's playing a ton of minutes, still under 7,000. Very good price tag for Ingram. They got Caldwell Pope. They pretty much got away from Josh Hart, and they're just like, hey, look, we're just going to roll with Caldwell Pope. He's a better player. The guy's been playing the minutes. He's been shooting the ball pretty well. Play some defense as well. 4,500. I think that you can actually play Caldwell Pope in your cash games, get a 6X and kind of move on from that. Like we've been talking about, pretty much this whole slate is there's a lot of value out there, and we're going to be able to pay up in some spots, and there's some obvious value spots. And I definitely think that, Michael Beasley is going to be one of the ultimate value chalk spots today. But that's really where I'm at with the Lakers. I'm not really looking for anybody else off of the bench. Like I said, Josh Hart hasn't been playing very well, and they're playing their starters a ton of minutes.
I cannot get behind Zubac for cash, and I'll tell you why. Just really quick, I'll pop open his game log and just go through it real quick. You take Phoenix, no center, right? They've got no center. Minnesota and Towns, He plays 20 minutes, 17.1. Golden State, you got Boogie Cousins. He gets 22 fantasy point per minute. He didn't get a lot of that against Boogie anyhow. Houston, no center. OKC, if you watch this game, which I watched the whole thing, he got the majority of this production without Steven Adams on the floor. That's when, we're talking about the ankle injury he's dealing with. Adams also got in foul trouble. So, I mean, Detroit, that was the Drummond game. This was a blowout for a long time, and he got a lot of this in the fourth quarter. So, look, I think Zubac has a really good skill set. I'm going to mention three things just to finish this up because we got a question I'll answer as well. You could say Rondo's not going back to New Orleans, but the guy's under contract. If they trade him, he's gone. So, Rondo doesn't really have a say-so in that, buyout, I guess, whatever. Redick's probably my second favorite play on the 76er side of things. The guy back in L.A., you can play the narrative. I know he didn't play for the Lakers, but back in L.A., Lakers weak perimeter defense. The guy can knock down a lot of shots, great spot shooter. He's my second favorite play there on that team. I'm sorry I didn't mention him. But with Zubac, you said one thing. He's trying to play hard. He's trying to prove that he should be the guy. Look, I'm with you. I think Zubac should play and should start, no matter who's on this roster currently constructed. But they get Anthony Davis. Who gives a shit about what Zubac is trying to prove?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. See you later, Zubac. Anthony Davis, bro. I mean, you put Anthony Davis with LeBron and Kuzma. That's a good core right there, bro. So, hey, that's all we got. 7 games. In a nutshell, for sure. I will be back shortly with my cash game core plays for the day. So make sure to stay tuned, into that. And if we don't talk to you before then, hey, man, good luck on your guys' contest tonight. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Thanks a lot. And, hey, peace out, man.